Hey, this is Rob from JTRpodcast.com, and this is the Seventh Continent. Well, this is one of many, many cards from the Seventh Continent. Just going to give a brief overview of the gameplay, a very, very brief one. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, so I'm not going to show you the fronts of any cards that give anything away in the game. I'm just going to briefly show you how the game works, and then we'll go to the positives and the negatives. So, as the blurb on page 2 of the rulebook says, which you're supposed to read out at the beginning of each game, it's basically you've been to the Seventh Continent, you've come back, you and your exploring party don't feel too well, so you need to go and cure the curses. And this is the Voracious Goddess. This is the starting curse for the game, the suggested starting curse for the game. And as you can see, this also has quite a bit of blurb on it as well, tells you what's happening to you and why you need to go back. It also says at the bottom, begin the adventure by putting a number 10 card into play. Each player places their figure on it. So, oh, look at the back, there's also a map. What does that mean? Very mysterious. So we're going to do that. We're going to take the number 10 card and put that into play. So this is the number 10 card. There's some text on the back. That is the front. This isn't a spoiler. This is going to be the first card you see. There's nothing on there that gives anything away. Let's try and line that up correctly. There it is. And the first thing you do when you put a new card out is you look for these. So this is the sort of the direction we're going to be exploring. And each of these Roman numerals is sort of telling you which part of the island you're on, and so you take the ones that match them. So here's a number 1. Again, this is the back of the card, so this isn't spoiling anything at all. And you line them up, and that is how you sort of set up the island. This is going to be this thing you see on pretty much everyone's videos is this little setup here. So this is the first island setup. There's also a bit of setup for the players as well, because obviously they're controlling a character as they're going around this island. And I've got Ferdinand here. This is his character card. He's got an ability. He's got another little ability up here, and he's got a bit of a backstory on the back, and you keep that in front of you. And each character comes with a matching miniature, which you put on the starting tile. Each player also gets a satchel and a journal, and basically this is where you put all your stuff with a book icon on. This is sort of your clues and things you've picked up as you're going around. It also tells you a hand limit, so I usually play it solo, so I can have 4 cards with the green hand on and 5 cards with the blue hand on as my hand limit. I can also have 4 columns of items, 4 items deep, and I'll explain items later on. The next thing you need to do, or the first thing you should do really, is set up the action deck. And the action deck is made up of these cards. These are action cards for a character specific. There are also a ton of action cards that are for everyone. So there are some items like this one. Items have this little dice at the top. So this is the bowlers. And this gives you sort of an advantage if you're fighting and hunting. And there are also these ability cards which you can keep in your hand as well, which give you an ability for doing certain actions. You also have the curse card itself, and a bunch of cards to say that the curse is coming, death is lurking, very mysterious. And they're all shuffled together and stored in this super cool looking card holder. So the game will begin, and the game is a bit unusual for turn order. So turn order is basically whoever wants to take their turn, or whoever everyone agrees should take their turn. If nobody can agree, then you pass kind of turn order to the left as normal, but hopefully you're all working together, so hopefully you can come to some agreement on whose turn it is. And basically what you can be doing is taking these actions, and these actions are in these white boxes here. There's quite a few scattered around. And there's 2 things to note of importance. There are the blue number and the gold number here. And the blue number is the number of action cards you need to reveal, and the gold number is the number of successes you need to complete the task. So in this case it's easy, you don't flip any cards over, and you don't need any successes to pass. That's pretty much a case of you're going to pass that no matter what. So this one here says that you need to reveal 1 card or more. You can always choose to reveal more cards if you want to, and gives you more chance of success. And you still need no successes here, because this symbol is basically go see and investigate. So you're just walking over there to have a look at something. That shouldn't be something you fail at, really, should it? So if you're an adventurer and you're just landing on an island, you shouldn't have any problem walking over to something and looking at it. But not everything is as easy, so take a look at this examine the notes card we looked at earlier. This means you need to flip over 1 card and you need 1 success. But this padlock means you can't alter this number, because remember before they have a plus next to it. This is 1 plus. This is just 1, and the padlock means you can't increase that number. So you need 1 success from 1 card, and that is not guaranteed, and we'll see why now. So what you do when you take an action is you basically flip over the number of cards from the action deck. So say you wanted to take this action and you need to reveal 1 card and get 1 success. You flip over the top and there is a star. A star is a success, so you would have succeeded. Sometimes you're not as lucky, so in case of this card you're only going to get half a star, which means you're going to fail. If you're flipping over multiple cards, though, those half stars can come in handy because you can put two together to make one full one. It counts as one success. So if you get enough successes, you'll look at the card and you'll go for the white box and you'll take the reward. So it says take 2 number 50 cards, keep one and return the other one, and then discard this. So you get a nice little bonus there. But it's not always good. In the case of this knowledge is power card, look, you've got the white box there. It says you get some experience, take a number 3 card, yada yada yada. But the black box at the bottom is a bad one, so it means you discard any knowledge is power card you've got in your hand and then discard this card. So if you pass, you're going to do what's in the white box. If you fail, you're going to do what's in the black box. This is always good. This is always bad. Okay, I'm just cutting in from the future because as I was editing the video, I realised I forgot to explain exploration, which is a massive part of this game. So it's something that I need to add in, and so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to explain exploring. So basically what you do is if you're on this tile, when your dude's on this tile, you do this pathfind action. I think some of these have a cost on some of the different levels, but it just says flip this, and you flip it and you resolve it. And sometimes it's an ability that you put in your hand, sometimes it's an item, sometimes it has this. I'm just trying to cover the card, so you just get the symbol. It's like a thing that you do once, you resolve it and you discard it, and then you replace it with the card. So you would resolve this, discard it. This says number 9. So you find the number 9 card, read the blurb, flip it over, and you add it into its space here. And then you'll add more of these in depending where these arrows are on that card. And then this kind of artwork will build out around, and you start to see the island grow as you're exploring. Yeah, that's exploring. Shouldn't have missed that out. Let's go back to the video. Once you've resolved a task, of all the cards that you reveal, the active player gets to keep one in their hand. And as I said earlier, there's 2 different types. You've got the sort of the item ones and the ability ones. And the ability ones just sit in your hand and you can use them when you want. But the item ones are a bit different. They sit in front of you and they have this dice at the top. And I'll just put this down on here. And what they do is each of them comes into play with a dice equal to the number of pips. So this one's got 3, so you put 3 on it. And if you take these actions, so in this case, heal, fight, if you're taking one of those actions, you can reduce the number of pips on the dice by 1, and then you get this ability. So if you're taking the heal action or the fight action here, you can reduce the number of cards you're revealing by 1. If you're taking a heal action here, you can have 3 successes, basically, plus any 7s you reveal on the cards will also count as a success. And the 7s are on some of the cards like that one. Which makes sense because it's a splint, which is really going to help you to heal your bone injury. So that's all makes sense there. I mentioned earlier about the hand limit. You can have a number of items in columns like this. You can combine items that have the same keywords. So as you can see, this woven basket has serenity. This splint also has serenity. So you would just basically stack them over each other and you would add up the numbers. So in this case, this had a 2 and a 1, so it would be a 3. And you'd stack them the other way around so you could see all the abilities on the cards. Now, rules-wise, that's pretty much it. There is obviously a lot more to it. It's a lot more complicated than that, but that's the basics. You're basically going around doing these actions, exploring these tiles. Eventually, you're going to cure the curse, which means you win. Or, if the action deck runs out, you shuffle it into a sort of a discard pile, and whenever you draw cards from it, you draw a card from there. And if you reveal a curse card, once you've run through the action deck once, then everyone will lose. So that's it. I told you it was going to be brief. Let's go to the positives and the negatives. So the first positive is it is a fantastic story that you're telling with very few rules. So you have these games that are quite rules heavy but tell a decent story, and they're all well and good. I quite like them, but this one is very rules light. I actually asked on Reddit what people thought of the Seventh Continent. Somebody said that it was like Sherlock Holmes Consultant Detective, but with more of a game behind it, which I agree with, because that's just how light this game is, really. It's very rules light, but the story is really intense and quite dark in places, and you never know if you're going to survive, and you never know if you're going to run out of time, and it's very tense, and it's awesome. I know people have complained about replayability, and there might not be much, but I think it's fine, because in this case, you've got these 2 cards here. These are randomly assigned. They are like that. They could have been like this. You never know. And any one of these 2 cards could be any one of the other ones in this set. And as you can see, there's quite a few. So there's 2 there. You don't know which 2 you're going to get. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Maybe the first time you play it, these are both really positive cards. Maybe the second time, these are really bad cards, and you get off to a really bad start, and then you're kind of spending the rest of the game trying to catch up with yourself and trying to recover from the big hit you took at the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I think there's some replayability there. There's plenty of curses. There's 7 different curses to play, each with their own different story and different things going on, so that's all good. It's a very positives light explanation, really, because it is just those 2 really, really big ones. The gameplay is really fun, and the story is phenomenal. Negatives are game length. I've heard reports that people playing up to 20 hours at some point, which I haven't yet, but I've only played it solo, so I've just kind of ripped through everything, done actions, resolved them, kept a card, discard down to my hand limit, gone on to the next action, and that's all I've done, basically. I spoke to a couple of people yesterday, and they said that there's a lot of table talk that goes on, deciding what you're going to do next and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I could imagine that taking a long time, but 20 hours, I think 40 minutes my first game lasted. I went through a bit, I lost, but I did get quite a way through the mission from what I could tell, from the clues that I found as I was going through. I think I was quite close, so we'll see. I'm going to be playing a game soon with somebody, so we'll see how long that one takes. Also, the weight of the game, like the physical weight of the game is very heavy. It's very difficult to want to take that to a game day. If you combine the length of the game with the weight of the game, it's going to be one that's not going to leave the house very often. It's going to be something that's it's going to be an arranged game day, a bit like a game like Twilight Imperium or something like that, where you're going to arrange a game day. But yeah, hopefully this has given you enough information to go on. Hopefully it's quite a quick one, because it's very difficult with games like this when you don't want to give anything away. I personally hate spoilers, any spoilers at all, so I always prefer it just to have a quick overview and see if it's the kind of game you and your friends will like, and then hopefully you can go from there. I think the Kickstarter might still be running for this and the expansion when I get this video up. It might not. Hopefully it is, and you can get back it. If not, hopefully there's some late pledges and you can get on it then as well. So this is one of my favourite games of all time. It's very good, tells a great story. It's easy to play. It's something you can play while watching telly, which is what I do, because it's so simple. There's nothing too complex to remember. Everything's laid out in front of you in your journal, in your satchel, so it's all good. Fantastic game, 7th Continent. Please like this video if you found it useful, share it to let others know about it, and subscribe to the channel for more Game Day First Play videos, as well as other board game related content. You can find me on Twitter at JTR Podcast, and find the blog and podcast at jtrpodcast.com. I've been Rob, aka Jesta the Rogue, and I'll see you soon.